How high was the pitch that Ernie Clement hit for a home run? We'll find out on today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasko, Carter First 2, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays as well. If you're new here on YouTube, we notice a lot of you guys aren't subscribed. Drop a subscription. Helps us out. Keeps us top your guys' page. Hit the little bell icon on YouTube. It'll notify you if we go live or if we have any immediate posts that whatever that we think you guys need to see. It'll let you know. Sort of a lot and not a lot going on today here in Blue Jays land. We got the Locked On Mailbag segment. We got a bunch of questions, a bunch of comments, and we thought, hey, this would be cool to go over on today's episode. Nice Friday, chill. Let's have some fun type of episode. Blue Jays got some win. We got some stats for you guys to go over and just some sort of some cool tidbits as well. We got the preview coming up of the sort of what's going to happen throughout the weekend. And just a quick heads up, Discord is ready to rock. We will finally release that on Monday, so you guys can all join up on the Locked On Blue Jays Discord channel. I'll have the link in the description on Monday's episode, so make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. In saying that, Carter, the Blue Jays got a win today. How happy am I about it? Meh. I mean, it was good. It's good to go. It's always good to get a win. It's always fun to see a win. A couple things sort of just before I sort of toss it over to you. Let's start with the Ernie Clement home run. I mean, it was just electric. Sort of a cool statistic from that as well. Ernie Clement's home run came on a pitch 4.6 feet off the ground. The second highest pitch hit for a home run in the pitch tracking era since 2008. That's from Keegan Matheson. The pitch was just ridiculous. The pitch that he hit out was just straight ridiculous, Carter. I don't know. We were watching the game. What did you think of Ernie Clement's home run?
I don't know how you get to that pitch. That's insane. It's just it's one of those that if you swung on, we sometimes reference MLB The Show. That's swinging. It's not even a garden hose. That's like you're swatting at a mosquito up there usually. But somehow, yeah, you get to the barrel of the ball. It looks like it's a fly ball. Just keeps going. And there's a 380-foot home run for Ernie Clement. His third straight game with a home run. This guy's starting to pick it up. He's making it harder and harder to not find him a roster spot for the 2025 season. This is a guy that I've been pretty high on, I would say, this entire season, and he just continues to show out. He's starting to hit for a little bit of power. If he can get to 15 home runs for a guy that's probably going to hit 260 to 280 in his career, maybe bottom out with a floor of like 250. Obviously doesn't strike out a ton, plays above average defense. Just is really a five-tool baseball player. Has the smarts. Isn't going to be a liability anywhere on the base paths defensively. So with Ernie Clement, if you can just get the bat going, obviously this Blue Jays team lacks power. Again, not a lot to play for right now. But if you can find some sort of consistency going into 2025, I can see him having a fairly prominent role for the Toronto Blue Jays in that year.
Yeah, it should be interesting, right? I don't know. I'm sort of thrilled to see Ernie Clement do well. I think he's a guy that, ever since him and Davis came up, we sort of cheered for them both and we're sort of rooting for them both. So it's nice to see Ernie figuring it out. Obviously, we saw a good stretch from Davis, but right now it is just terrible to watch. I mean, he did break out of the hitless streak, so hopefully that ignites something into him. But we'll have to wait and see, sort of, because it's tough to watch right now. A couple other things that I want to go over. A little bit of a bullpen day for the Blue Jays. Ryan Yarbrough goes an inning, gives up 2 hits with 2 strikeouts. Then Ryan Yarbrough comes in and gets the win with 5 innings pitched, giving up 3 hits, no earned runs with 4 Ks. Brendan Little, I'm thinking the Winnipeg Jets. Goes in for an inning, gives up a hit, 1 strikeout, and then Tommy Nance comes in, gives up 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, obviously the home run as well. And that is it for the Blue Jays pitching staff. Sort of another cool thing here from the broadcast today. Since August 11th, the Blue Jays are first in home runs with 21, They're first in extra base hits with 47, and they're first in slugging percentage with 488. And that's in the entirety of the MLB since August 11th. No, I know it's not a crazy thing to see that, oh, the Blue Jays are doing well for a couple stretches of baseball against some, not top tier baseball teams. But you know what? I think it's promising to see, at least from this team, when we look back over the rest of the season. I don't necessarily know that you could say that the Blue Jays were first in anything all season. So, to see these little stats and pop up, I don't know, it gives you a little bit of hope, Carter. I don't know. Are you sort of in the same boat as it's nice to see, but it isn't the craziest thing of all time either. That's sort
Well,
of what.
yeah, you look at who the Toronto Blue Jays have played in that stretch. You had the Cubs, you have the Reds, you have the Angels. You've had a bunch of teams that aren't necessarily the greatest. Obviously, the Texas Rangers are in there as well. A bunch of teams either at or below 500. So, again, you got to play every single major league team. Every team plays every team at this point. So, again, all these games mean the same. You can't really complain too much if you're beating the bad teams, because in order to be a good team, you have to beat the bad teams.
Yeah.
So, with the Blue Jays, it's definitely nice to see that the offense is picking it up here. Again, though, when you're at this point in the season, your offense, it would be fun to watch for the Toronto Blue Jays offense scored 10 runs a game, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. So, unfortunately, like, these players can be as hot as they want. This team can be as hot as they want offensively, pitching, you name it. When they're not playing meaningful baseball, it's tough for me to get excited about some of these stat lines. Definitely nice to see the offense clicking, but overall, just we're in August. We're in August, and the Toronto Blue Jays are a million games under 500. So I'm not going to get crazy excited about this offense being even though it is first in the major leagues in a few of those offensive categories. I'm not going to get overly excited about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, again, we've said that for the past couple months now, where it's just like, oh, it doesn't really matter. But I think at the end of the day, it's cool to see. It's fun to see. Again, we're still cheering for this baseball team. I know that's tough for a lot of people to hear, because how it's tough to cheer for a team that's doing this bad. But over the last bit of stretch, I've been enjoying watching Blue Jays baseball again. And I think for me, that's a big part of it. If I'm going to spend my days watching a baseball team, I want it to at least be enjoyable. And that's what it has been. Carter, just a couple more things here, sort of throughout the Blue Jays world before we get into the mailbag, because there's a lot to go over in that mailbag, a lot of little comments and stuff from you guys. And we thought, we don't get to do this a ton where we bring up comments and stuff like that. So we want to try to get you guys more involved in the show, and the mailbag segment's a perfect way to do that. Carter, Jake Bloss, so far with the Bisons, 9.2 innings pitched, or 9 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 6 hits, no runs, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts, obviously a 0 ERA, a whip of 1.14, an opponent average of 171. Seems pretty good to me. I don't know. I'm really excited to see more of what Jake Bloss can do with the Bison sort of throughout this little bit of a stretch here. And who knows, maybe we see him at some point in a Blue Jays uniform by the end of the season.
It would be a lot of fun to see. Looking at the next year's starting pitching rotation, it's already looking pretty solid. Jake Bloss could throw in the mix depending on how it's offseason, obviously how spring training goes. At the end of the day, it is AAA. You look at his, he had a couple starts in the major leagues, didn't necessarily go that well. So it is a big jump from AAA to the MLB, but it is nice to see, again, a young guy's success. You want to just see him, let him have some consistency. Again, with these outings, he hasn't been fully worked up. There's been outings where he's gone 2 2/3, 3 innings, things like that. So again, when he's with the Toronto Blue Jays, hopefully sooner rather than later, you want him to be stretched out. You want him to go probably at least 4 innings. You probably more so want 5 and 6, but again, you'll take 4 for what would be a 5th starter on this team. But yeah, you can't complain. You can't complain about a guy just finding himself, getting that confidence up in AAA, just playing ball. At this point, that's just what these prospects have to do. They got to get their reps in. They got to just treat every at-bat like it's their last, and continue to get better day in, day out to prepare for 2025.
Yeah, and that looks like what Jake Bloss is doing, right? I think it's a lot of preparation. I don't think they want to rush him into the MLB, as they've seen what he's done so far in his stretch in the major leagues. So I think that, if they take their time and they work sort of through them, and he can iron out some issues, I think that's going to be huge for Jake Bloss and his development moving forward. Just before we take this break, Carter, again, we want to get into this mailbag. We're really pumped about it. We haven't been able to do this a ton. I'm excited for it. There's been some interesting questions. I know, Carter, you've sort of put together a list of a few comments, questions, and whatnot that we've gotten from the people listening to the show. I've done the same. And I think we'll just get each other's thoughts. It's a little bit of a Friday fun day here on Locked On ML or Locked On Blue Jays. I was going to say Locked On MLB, but I'll get to that in the second segment at the end there, shouting out my our boy Paul Sullivan, Sully.
I got one more thing I want to go over in this segment before we do head to the fan questions. I just want to give another shout out. I know we kind of talked to him about him a little bit before with that home run, but Ernie Clement, man, like just going over his last 7, just going over what he's doing for this baseball team. When you're looking at OPSs, you're looking at just players that are above average hitters on this baseball team. It's a very short list. You have George Springer, who's barely cracking it. You have Spencer Horwitz. You have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That is it. And now you do have Ernie Clement. So congrats to him. He has a 101 WRC plus now. And he's just, the last 7 games are just absolutely insane. This guy's barreling up baseballs. He's driving the ball far. 4 home runs, 8 hits in 27 at-bats, 9 RBIs, a 296 average, a 345 OBP, and the big 852 slugging brings his OPS in total this year to 732. So again, a guy that I love talking about him every single episode if he's going to play this good of baseball. Again, not a lot of things to get excited about, but Ernie Clement is definitely one of them. It's going to be interesting to see how much he can elevate this role, and this is also going to give us some leeway with Bo Bichette, depending on how that storyline develops. Going in 2025, the way this front office has looked, they have said multiple times they want to keep Bo Bichette. They do see him in the future, but again, as we continue to get to the offseason, it looks like that stance is letting up more and more day in and day out. So if you have Ernie Clement playing very good baseball, playing a good brand, just, he could be a solid shortstop, third baseman for this team. That gives you at least some reassurance with this Bo Bichette stuff. If it doesn't necessarily go your way, you're not forced to re-sign Bo Bichette. You're not forced to overpay him. You're not forced to trade him for not enough value. You have multiple options, and it gives you just a little bit longer of a leash if you have Ernie Clement playing good baseball for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is going to be the big question heading into this offseason. And then all the moves that surrounding that. That'll include Will Wagner, it'll include Ernie Clement, it'll include Davis Schneider, it'll include Addison Barger. There's lots of players, Leo Jimenez. There's lots of guys that the Bo Bichette deal or extension or whatever, or trade, depending on what happens, will affect. So I think that's going to be a huge storyline, and we'll keep you guys as up to date as humanly possible on what happens with all these players, because it is the storyline of the offseason. And if you're looking and wondering what's going to happen, I think that will kickstart when that decision comes out. I think that kickstarts the offseason, and then the Blue Jays have to start making moves to building around what is the fallout of the Bo Bichette situation. In saying that, Carter, like I said, I keep teasing the mailbag. I'm just excited for it. I've been waiting to do a mailbag for so long. We got enough comments, questions, and whatever else. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll get into that, because there are some doozies of some questions. So the boys got to be sort of on their A game for these ones for sure. Today's episode brought to you by Liquid IV. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Liquid IV. It is the perfect hydration drink. I've been trying to get better drinking my waters. I've been trying to work out a little bit more, and Liquid IV is like the perfect addition to those workouts, because most of the time I'm pretty dehydrated. I don't get my electrolytes in. Liquid IV really does help, especially on those Sundays when I'm trying to do some recovering, especially this Sunday. We got baseball playoffs. So Liquid IV will be the perfect addition to my Sunday routine. Powered by Live HydroSense, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com.
Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, you can get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can help you get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. With a world where everything is so expensive, you want to take advantage of anything that can cut costs. And if you are looking for some HVAC, some plumbing, perfect opportunity to save some money with supplyhouse.com. So you can join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
Sorry, Carter. I flipped you onto me there for a second. Let's get into this Locked On Blue Jays mailbag segment. I'm pumped. Carter, there were some very interesting sort of Locked On Blue Jays subscriber questions that we've received. And I think I want to hop right in. There's a couple of them that sort of blew me away a little bit. But we talked a little bit about Ernie Clement, Davis Schneider, etc. Some of these young guys coming up. We got this sort of question / comment. John Schneider overcoached all players looking for pitchers instead of using their talent. The entire can't hit looking at the coaching staff. Davis defense sucks, so you gotta hit. You gotta make him hit to make up for the defense. Vlad had one good month, and he can play first base or DH. Not worth a big long-term contract. Two pieces there, Carter. Do you think that there's overcoaching going on? Me personally, I'm going to put that out there and saying I don't necessarily know if there's enough coaching going on. With a guy looking like Davis Schneider, obviously we've talked about his struggles hitting the high fastball. There has to be some coaching involved. This isn't, I think it's long enough now where it's not a scenario of having to let the guy figure it out. I think there has to be an adjustment made, and I think that this is not the doing of overcoaching. We'll start there. We'll get into the Vlad part later. What do you think about the overcoaching angle?
With the coaches and where these players are in their MLB careers, yes, like coaches are going to help. They're going to see things like the Davis Schneider fastball thing. Like you don't think they've already talked about this at some point with Davis Schneider? Like we're not just Albert Einstein's over here looking at finding this stuff and be like, oh my God, we're the first people to ever point this out. Davis Schneider, he should know about this already. And again, he is probably working on approach styles to fix that. But at the end of the day, these guys are major league players. They've gotten to where they are from multiple coaches, from obviously tons of hours and grinding, just putting in work. Do you really think at the MLB level, like coaches are making that big of a deal? Like obviously they do help you. They are going to give you some little tips and tricks. Maybe they give you a different perspective. You can look at things different ways, and maybe you find out something that works for you. You find a little tweak that you can use to help elevate your career. But overall, like if you have Vladdy on a cold streak, you don't think Guillermo Martinez is going in there being like, yeah, Vladdy, just do this differently and you're going to be perfectly fine. Like, no, these guys have individual pitching coaches and they have individual hitting coaches, stuff like that. So yeah, there's kind of my stance on it in totality, but I didn't really answer the question. I guess I could say, is there overcoaching on the Toronto Blue Jays? I would say no. I mean, at this point, like how can there be overcoaching? You're not going for the playoffs. There's really nothing to coach. Just make sure you get all your guys in your lineups. Make sure you got the pitching matchups. Again, who really cares about that at this point? So maybe I would say there's undercoaching right now as well. I'd have to agree with you. But when we're in like the middle of the season, when things actually felt like they mattered, I would say I want John Schneider. I'm not really sure how I feel about his coaching style and how much he actually benefits his team. So I think right now, for me, I'd want John Schneider as far away from these guys as possible. Just focus on making the lineups, be a morale guy in the dugout, whatever you have to do. You can sing Kumbaya, whatever it takes to make these guys happy. But just make sure they're confident and focused on their games.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there isn't a lot of these guys, all these players have their own coaches that they go to in the off season from back home or wherever they're from, and they'll go and work on things with them. I don't think during the season the Blue Jays hitting, pitching coaches do that much. I know that they have their little points and so they can help in little regards, but as an overall swing change, fixing problems, that gets done in the off season for most of the players. And they go home and they talk to the guys that they've grown up with and worked with throughout their careers. Carter, on the second part of that comment, Vlad had one good month and he can play first base or DH, not worth a big long-term contract. I have a little bit of a piece on this and I want to say something, and it might rile some people up. I don't care if Vlad wants to play third base. You let Vlad play third base. What that does is that opens the door for you to be able to go into free agency and sign another power bat and put them at first base. And then the two of them can switch out between first base, DH, if Vlad can play a couple games at third. I think there's a lot of option here, and I don't care what you say if you think Vlad isn't good enough defensively. And maybe you're right, but at the end of the day, this team needs to hit. They need the power bat. And if Vlad playing third opens up another slot to add in a power bat at one, I have zero issue with Vlad moving over and getting more games at third base. Is he worth the long-term contract? Yes. Flat out, yes. There's no other option. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of the best players in the entirety of the MLB. You let him go or you want to sign a bridge deal for him, good luck to you. This guy wants to be a Blue Jay, one of the best players in baseball, want to be a Toronto Blue Jay for life. You give him the biggest contract you can, and you pray to God that he doesn't leave.
Yeah, I think you actually you summed that up pretty well for me as well. Like, yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. Yeah, like you hit that one on the head with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think you said something about there only being one good month in there, so I pulled up some of the OPSs just for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this season.
Thank you.
Just so you can see how good of months these are. So I'm not going to count April 629. Fine, not a great month. In May, 916. In June, 961. July, 1112. August, 1100. Seems like multiple good months to me. We can go back to 2021. We can go back to 2022. There's good months in there all the time. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had one bad year, and it wasn't even that bad of a year, to be honest. He hit 265, had an OPS of like 823, something like that. And he hit 26 home runs. Again, it's not necessarily a year you wanted from him with all the expectation behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but he has been a very good, way above average baseball player for his entire career. And this guy is 25 years old. I think we're going to die on our hills on this Vladimir Guerrero Jr. point. Some people will have to just agree to disagree with us. We want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be a Toronto Blue Jay for his entire career, and I don't know how you couldn't. You look at the stats, you look at the eye test, you look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just after the All-Star break. How does that not performance not want you, like, you just want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be a Toronto Blue Jay? How does that not want you to want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be a Toronto Blue Jay for his entire career? But I was going off so much I forgot part of the question. Like, what?
No, it's just would you want him to sign a long-term contract here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like that's 100% yes. That's
okay.
Where we're at with that.
Carter, you know what? We got a ton more mailbag questions to get into here. Let's get to one more. I don't know. Do you have one pulled up right now that you can bring up? We'll hit that one and maybe one more of mine before we hit this break.
Yeah, this one's almost like, I guess you could say it's like a fantasy question. Not really. It's just a start sit question. So you got a start, bench, and then cut. So we got David Schneider, Addison Barger, and Joey Loper-Fido. So I'm going to throw it to you to answer this one first.
So start, bench, cut.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good one. I like this one a lot. Okay. Right now I'm going to start Joey Loper-Fido. I'm going to bench Davis Schneider in the hopes that next season, in the offseason, you can work on some stuff and figure it out. And we can see the Davis Schneider we've seen. And I will bench Davis Schneider and I will cut Addison Barger. And that's only for the fact that saying is right now I see a way higher ceiling with Davis Schneider over Addison Barger. And the floor, I mean, I think Davis Schneider the floor is low, but the ceiling is so high that I'm almost taking that upside for a bench bat, if this is the question, over Addison Barger.
See, I would almost want to say that. I would say, yeah, Barger's floor for sure is above Davis's, but I also want to say that Addison Barger's ceiling is higher than Davis Schneider's. Obviously,
wow.
you look at Davis Schneider, you look how he goes out in his rookie season there, but I don't think that's Davis Schneider. I don't think Davis Schneider, unfortunately, maybe I'm really throwing shots at this guy, but I don't think he'll ever have like an extended stretch like that ever again. Obviously, just unbelievable stretch. Not really that crazy when you say like 700. But I think with Addison Barger, you look at the power, you look at that lefty swing, how much punch that does pack. I think if Addison Barger can catch some fire, I think his ceiling is unbelievable. I think he could be a 30-plus home run hitter. Again, that's his ceiling. That's way up there. Is that going to happen? From what I've seen, not exactly. I don't think Addison Barger will be that good of a player. It's just what he could end up being. But for me, yeah, just Joey Loper-Fido hitting triples and stuff like that. I'm all in on Joey Loper-Fido, so I got to start him. With Davis Schneider, again, depends on where I'm kind of phrasing this question from. If we're going right now, it's got to be bench Barger, cut Schneider. I think you would have to agree with me on that one if it was like tomorrow is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But if this is for the future, I think I'd probably have to agree with you. I think I would go with Schneider. I don't know. Just I still have emotional ties to Schneider. It's a tough question. Obviously, all in theory. With Barger and Schneider, you're getting a similar player. More so selling out for the power, not as much the contact. Get a lefty right versus a righty, get guys that can play pretty much the same positions. Really, coin flip for me. Nothing. It's a close battle. That's all I really have for that one.
Carter, going back to this sort of Davis Schneider point that this person brought up in the last one of him not being able to play good defensively, I don't agree with that. I think that his defense is not the issue. I think it's because when you see Davis Schneider making diving plays and doing just the basic things well, I mean, there's a lot of other guys that can go out and play left field and not do what Davis Schneider does or go play second base and making errors there. I don't know. I just think the whole Davis Schneider isn't good defensively argument is just a little bit out there. Do you sort of agree with me? Like, I think he gets overlooked with how just sort of I don't want to say he's amazing defensively. I'm never going to say that, but I don't think he's bad either.
Yeah, like where I'm at with David Schneider and his defense, like he's not going to go out there and make like Kevin Pillar climbing the wall catches, like Superman dives. That's not who David Schneider is, but he's going to give you the basic plays. He's not going to have those mental errors where it's a ball like just right to him, like routine, and he's just dropping the ball. He's going to make the easy plays. He'll make the odd, nice play. Like you've seen him dive. You've seen him have some range. Not the quickest guy, not the flashiest guy, but he can play the position well. Like I wouldn't say he's bad. I wouldn't say he's a liability out there, but I wouldn't say he's breaking any defensive records. I wouldn't say he's a Gold Glove candidate whatsoever, but I definitely wouldn't say that he's a liability defensively. Yes, you can find better players out there, a little bit quicker, a little bit maybe just more experience in the outfield. David Schneider obviously coming up into the MLB, being an infielder. You got to remember that hasn't really logged any reps at all in the outfield until this season. So again, if you want David Schneider to be an outfielder, he's going to be playing there a lot more of his career if that's what the Blue Jays decide for him. But I definitely would not say that David Schneider is bad defensively whatsoever.
Yeah, I think just an interesting point there. I don't know. It seemed like there was a couple comments saying that David Schneider is a bad fielder, and I just think he's just an average, steady enough defender. I don't necessarily understand the hate from.
I'll give you this. If you have average, would you say he's above or below average if you had to pick?
I honestly, from what I've seen, I think he's just dead center of the pack. Like maybe a little bit below, but like I don't think it's necessarily enough below average to be like for me to really be that or that to be a complaint from me. And again, maybe this is a little bit of the bias. Everybody's going to say that. Everybody knows I'm a big David Schneider guy, and I pray that he comes back and just he's one of the best players I've ever seen. But I think that's a little bit under the cards. But I don't think I'm being over or under realistic here. I think he's just a very dead center. He's good enough outfielder that it doesn't really, I don't even think about it really at that point. It's sort of just, he's just there doing things I would expect him to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd say if I was doing it like percentiles, like if I was going ultra specific, I'd do like a 46 with David Schneider. He's not doing anything exceptional, but his arm's okay, his speed's okay, and he's okay at tracking fly balls. He's just I don't know, not something that you're ever gonna like complain about out there. But and just like going into his errors too, like I was trying to remember off the top of my head. I do remember one where he had I'm not sure what, maybe just a little bit of mental lapse, a little bit of hypocritical statement right there because he said he doesn't have them. But he had one where the ball goes under his glove. I can't. He was in left field.
I know what you're talking about.
I completely whiffed on it. Doesn't have any at second base. So errors again. Like he's not making mistakes out there most of the time. People are you're gonna have your one or two bonehead errors in a season. That just happens to everybody. But overall, David Schneider not a bad defender. But saying that, we do have, I guess, the rest of the series to preview. Maybe a few more questions. We'll see how much time we do have in this last segment here. But I know you kind of want to give Sully a shout out before we do head over there.
Yeah, as we always say, I mean, it's just what you guys should do. We're your first listen. You guys want more MLB sort of news and content and the big storylines. Make sure you guys go check out Locked On MLB. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully. We love calling him Sully. He's our boy. We went on there, had a lot of fun, and he does cover the big stories in the MLB so well. He's been podcasting for a long time. He really knows what he's doing. So make sure you guys go check out Locked On MLB and make sure that's your second listen every day. We'll be right back. We got the preview to do, sort of the rest of the series, just teeing you guys up for the weekend. And maybe we'll try to squeeze in one or two more questions here, but we'll sort of see what the time's looking like. We don't want to hold you guys super, super long on a Friday episode either. We just want to have some fun and sort of chat some fun points with you guys. So we'll be right back after this break. Today's episode is brought to you by Tonal. Tonal is something that I need so badly. For those of us who thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need Tonal, the smart training system that takes the guesswork out of working out so you can make sure you're making the most out of every rep. That's a huge thing for me. I know I want to get to the gym. I've been trying to get back into it. I've been slowly, forcing myself back. But what I find is I don't like prepping. I want to just get in there, get what I need to get done, and tonal really just does help with that. Even the most dedicated gym goers struggle with consistency. The commute, waiting for weights, other people's sweat. It makes skipping a workout very tempting. With tonal, you can choose from thousands of workouts and train in a way you actually enjoy at home too, which is a huge part of it. If I can do stuff at home, I'm going to. If I don't have to leave my house, I'm just not going to. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. $200, by the way, unbelievable deal. That's tonal.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. That's tonal.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. So, Carter, we sort of talked about just, some questions, some here and there, some what ifs on a lot of guys, and just what you guys had to say. If you guys, again, have more mailbag questions for us, make sure you tag it mailbag, and we'll make sure we answer it on an upcoming episode. We'll try to get through more of these in the next few days, because we find what you guys say sometimes interesting, getting different fans' perspectives. We'll definitely keep doing those. We still have a few more that we want to get to, but I don't necessarily know we'll get to it today. Maybe we'll do like a whole mailbag show, because it seems like 1, 2, 3 questions, and there goes half an hour with us, by the way that we start yapping on this podcast. But in saying that, Carter, we got a series to preview. I'm going to throw it over to you and sort of let us in on what's sort of going on this weekend for Blue Jays baseball.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm going to start it out by saying that I just wish the Toronto Blue Jays played the Los Angeles Angels 162 games of the season. I feel like we could have been like a 120 win team playing the Los Angeles Angels. Like, this team is pathetic. I'm sorry. Like, the Toronto Blue Jays suck too, but like the Angels, it's hard to watch a series like this, especially over the weekend. I'm kind of happy that we do have some things going on, just so we're not too tempted, I guess you could say, to watch Toronto Blue Jays baseball. But going over the pitching probables, again, like, these matchups aren't the greatest things I've ever seen here. Like, going into the weekend, grand perspective, you want the Toronto Blue Jays to lose games, but the Angels just, like, it's so hard to watch, man. Anyway, I'll get into it. Jack Chanowich, I'm going to say Jack Chanowich. I'm not a great person to ask with Brady pronunciation.
Chanowich, I think.
But I'm going to go with Chanowich again. This guy's a 6.5 ERA. He's just, again, a guy that just hasn't pitched much in the major leagues. Not that good. Going against Chris Bassett. Going to Saturday, you got Carson Fulmer versus Bowden Francis. Again, that'll be a game we'll be paying closer attention to with Bowden Francis pitching. Hopefully can continue his dominance over his last 3 starts. And then you have on Sunday, Tyler Anderson versus Kevin Gausman. Just overall, like, again, you would like the Toronto Blue Jays to lose, but I don't see it happening. I think a win in the Toronto Blue Jays books is they get swept for the rest of the weekend. Okay, but I'm not going to bet against the Toronto Blue Jays. Definitely want a Bowden Francis win. It's 2-2, I'm not going to. If they win 3-1, if they win 2-2, again, it's not really affecting my day too much. But, man, I would love to have Ethan Holiday in Blue Jays Blue coming into next season.
Yeah, man. Oh, God. And we'll get into that, like, sort of closer to the end of the season, into the offseason. We'll talk about what the possibility of getting Ethan Holiday would be. But in saying that, Carter's just sort of going sort of back to the weekend a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm sort of happy that this is the weekend that we have baseball playoffs for us, because we'll still have it on, but, it'll be a little bit back of mind. We got our own sort of games to focus on. So, I mean, obviously it's us, so we'll have it probably on in the dugout and have it on, when we go and, have a couple beverages at somebody's place after the games. We'll probably have the Blue Jays game on.
Think about it, though. Like, we could be, if everything goes perfectly, like, according to plan, like, greatest thing ever. There's no setbacks in Toronto Blue Jays baseball. In 2026, you look at that year, we got Ricky Tiedemann, you got Brandon Barea. He's going to be back as well. You got Trey Savage, going to be out of the rotation. You got Jose Barrios. You got Yaya Rodriguez. You got Alek Manoah. That's not bad pitching. You look at everything was working out. It's fairy tale land here. We got Joey Lopervito leading off the Toronto Blue Jays. David Schneider holding it down at 3. Ernie Clement hitting 2. Vladdy at the 4 spot. The Toronto Blue Jays are hopefully making their second straight playoff appearance. Just imagine a world with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're talking about playoff baseball right now. That's how I'm going to end this. We'll end on a little bit of a positive note. 2015 bat flip. 2015 bat flip. Just remember that.
Come on, I can't believe that's how you're ending the episode. I love it. Talk to you guys next week. We have more coming for you guys. A crazy sort of finish, sort of to the weekend that news came out. We'll get to that Monday because we want to really break it down. Of course, everybody's seen the Juan Soto sort of talks. Is there a possibility that he comes to the Blue Jays? Make sure you guys tune in for Monday's episode. We're going to go over sort of all the possibilities. What are the actual chances? Because let's be real as Toronto Blue Jays fans. Will it happen? Enjoy your guys' weekend. Wish us luck on our playoff baseball, slow pitch, whatever you want to call it, weekend. We want to go win our third championship in 3 years. We'll let you guys know what we do on Monday as well. Take it easy.